Next, we have Amit Singh. We're very happy to have you among us. Amit is talking about the Social.li, the interoperable metaverse. And Social.li is, as Amit will explain a little bit more, I'm sure, is a layer one blockchain designed specifically to power an interoperable sorry, metaverse. And so for him, it's very important that he covers the what they are building and why and how. Amit is the CEO of Social.li. He is also a founder of Polkadot India community, which we heard of earlier today from Ananya, and which was also a fascinating presentation and talk. Amit loves to work at the intersection of technology, startups, and design and policy. In the past, he has built one of India's leading product engineering firms, Wow Labs, and one of India's largest startup communities, the Head Start Network. So welcome, Amit. We're very happy to have you here, and I'll give the stage to you.
Well, thank you so much, Stefan. It's a pleasure to be over here. And I would love to share with you guys what we guys are building at Social.li and take any questions as well once that gets over. May I just share my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you for the introduction. I'll not introduce myself again. So overall, metaverse is hot property, and everybody from brands to celebrities, gaming studios, they're all rushing to get a piece of it. But building a Web3 metaverse is tough. And one thing that's tougher than building a metaverse itself is building a Web3 metaverse economy. And this is where Social.li comes in. My name is Amit Singh, and greetings to all of you all from Bangalore, India. So Social.li is, like Stefan already mentioned, a layer one blockchain designed specifically to allow communities to launch their own metaverses. Now, each of these metaverses come with their own social tokens, NFTs, and Web3 constructs like DeFi, GameFi, etc. So there are a lot of possibilities of building an economy within these metaverses. I'll talk a little more about how we are approaching this particular market later on. So to talk about the metaverse market overall, there are multiple reports that have been out there, depending upon which one you're reading, whether it's from McKinsey or Citigroup or JP Morgan. It's a $5 trillion, $8 trillion, $13 trillion economy by 2030. And a significant portion of this is going to be around self-sovereign Web3 metaverses. And this is the area within which we guys would be operating. Pretty interesting developments that are already going on, things that we will be tapping into. So we foresee Social.li's biggest adopters to be brands, games, Web3 DAOs, though we'll be taking things one at a time. And I'll talk about it when I talk about our GTM in a bit. Here's some early validation of folks that are already pretty active on the metaverse. So in a nutshell, Social.li's adopters get their own metaverse deployed on the Polkadot blockchain. The protocol will provide a custom social token, which would be the native currency of this metaverse. Land parcels can be minted, sold, or rented to earn a yield. And each metaverse would have token gated access to create exclusivity. So all Social.li metaverses will be able to talk to each other, even talk to metaverses deployed across chains. And if we look at this particular circle representing a superset of metaverses, then the green ones being Social.li and the red, blue, red, yellow ones, etc., being on other chains. Each cluster, a metaverse getting added to every single cluster ends up having an interoperability network effect. So each new metaverse brings with it its own set of users, a lot of capital, and every new metaverse getting added makes the whole network even more valuable for the existing ones. So we foresee multifarious innovative use cases of trade of assets between metaverses, analogous to trade relationships that we see between nation states of the world today. So Socially provides an SDK and a set of APIs, giving developers a lot of freedom to come up with innovative products and services for building their own metaverse. These include some of these services that they can come up with include renting, staking, organizing exclusive events, virtual goods, portability services, gaming rewards, etc., etc. So how do we go about acquiring some of our customers? So this the screen that you're looking at right now kind of shows how we run the flywheel. So each, as more capital flows into this ecosystem, it attracts more developers, which create innovative products and services. New users start using these services, put in more capital. This infusion leads to more predictable ROI, especially when it comes to the AMM pools that would be there for some of these social tokens. And part of it goes towards the treasury to manage this innovation, but mostly it goes to the people investing to create greater ROI, and greater ROI leads to greater investment, and the whole virtuous cycle continues. So multifarious use cases like I shared earlier. So we guys are taking a pretty interesting approach on how we would go about acquiring our first 100,000, 10,000 customers. And we are not directly jumping into building big, large-scale metaverses just yet. What we've realized after talking to numerous stakeholders, now we've spoken to many people, over a couple of dozen people around in each of the customer segments that I mentioned earlier. And they said that, yes, we want our metaverse, but we want you to help us get traction over there. And we don't want it to be a cost center. We want it to be a profit center, etc. And we felt, okay, let's attack that problem. Let's build a community of metaverse natives, the first citizens of an interoperable metaverse. And this is something that we give people an access to. So we start building this community by giving people their own meta home. So if you guys use Oculus, you land in your own home, similar to Horizon Worlds. And this will be not owned by any third party. It is your own place. It's probably your permanent residence on the metaverse, and you'd over a period of time, you'd most likely want to enhance it, modify it, invite people over, do a bunch of stuff. So this is your little microverse that you get. It is initially issued as an NFT, and every NFT owner gets a gated access to this particular microverse. And every microverse has or meta home, as we call it, has the ability to teleport to different socially metaverses to begin with, and later on to other socially other chains that socially builds bridges with as well. So we're looking at taking things slowly. You get 10 new people every day, pretty similar to the Nouns project, if you guys are aware of that. And building this community grounds up in a way that's very responsible, as well as in a way that involves making a decent economy as these people build up. So each of these meta homes will have different properties. Like some of these land plots will have the ability to expand significantly, and all of these will be attributes of the NFT that is issued to them. And we will create a lot of quests. So to be able to expand your land parcel, you will have to play a game of performing these quests. So log into your socially meta home 3 days in a row to mint an adjacent land parcel. Go to invite 5 friends over to mint another land parcel. Jump to 4 different metaverses, socially metaverses, mint another land parcel. Jump to a third-party metaverse, another land parcel. Jump to a third-party metaverse and do $10 worth of transactions in that metaverse. Another land parcel. So it becomes a game, and all these land parcels are things that over a period of time become valuable because they're still finite in number. And as we go to step 2, when we launch bigger metaverses, chances are that a bigger brand would want to just acquire you because they want a fairly large, plot of land which already has different users coming in at a handsome sum because you've invested your time and energy into building it. So this is, so as people are playing these games, we keep recording these actions into their profile. So some kind of a proof of active participation or a soulbound token, you can think of it that way, that it will end up reflecting as the user's profile. Then this is an example of how these land parcels could look at. You initially start with one in the center, but then you keep building different things around it, eventually becoming like a small little village or a much bigger community where you could get a lot of different people coming over. This becomes its own little social network, and everybody leverages the core technology of interoperability, jumping into the metaverse directly that we guys are building. And the way we are designing it is to really create a whole new level of enhanced user experience. You don't have to jump to another browser window, change the network, reorganize your NFTs, none of that stuff. You just go inside, teleport, and all the adaptations happen on the fly. So that is something that we guys are looking at. The native token of Socially will be called $social. And there are different use cases that people have for $social as well. They can buy, stake, play using it, and of course it serves as a governance token as well. So we guys are actively in development. In October, we'll do a reveal of our first meta homes. December, we guys will launch these microverses. The demos are already ready. We guys are also building on Substrate. We've already built a layer 1 on Substrate, which is capable of making things pretty cheap, kind of nearly free. For people to keep recording a lot of these transactions, because we expect them to happen in mass, because many of these quests will become multiplayer quests, and a lot of people together will be performing small little actions, which are then again getting recorded along with their profiles, etc. So the next stuff is more about tokenomics, etc. Because we're raising, so we've already raised our pre-seed earlier this year. We're going ahead and raising our seed round. I think that might not be most relevant at this juncture, but here's more about our team. So it's founded by my co-founder at my previous organization, Wow Labs, and myself. And so Roshit and I have been together for 11 years, and during our time together, we've built over 150 different products, thanks to the fact that we had a product engineering, we co-founded a product engineering firm. So many of India's top startups, their core pieces of technology, we guys have built it. And another thing that makes our team pretty unique is that between the core team of the people who are there in Socially right now, who are earlier members of the Wow Labs family, we've co-founded 4 different communities in 4 different areas. Now, I have, like Stefan mentioned earlier, built one of India's largest startup communities, been doing that in a voluntary capacity for over 15 years now. We've also built 3 product communities, a pan-India design community, and most recently, a Web3 community, which is Polkadot India, something which my colleague Ananya discussed earlier today. So whatever I shared right now is not just my belief that hey, interoperability is going to be pretty important. Gartner shares the same view that the future is of the metaverse is going to be highly immersive and highly interoperable. And we guys want to short circuit the time that Gartner is predicting that this interoperability will come into play. Socially will be compatible with Web2 metaverses like Horizon Worlds as well. And because we see a lot of traffic, honestly, being over there. So for sovereignty, people come to Socially, and possibly a lot of bleeding edge stuff on the metaverse side will be built by big tech as well, which I'm pretty sure that it'll see amazing adoption. So before I conclude, I'd just love to talk a little about some of our partners and some things that we guys are doing, along with aspects of the Socially ecosystem that we guys are building. So here are different communities. Each of them will have their own Socially metaverses too. Some of these are a part of our own ecosystem built for startups that are going to be building alongside Socially. So heart of Socially is Metaport. It's a teleporting technology that with the UX that I was mentioning about earlier. There's Metamatter. So all brands and creators that create NFTs on Socially metaverses, these will automatically be available across all the different Socially metaverses. And this is and over here we are solving some very interesting problems, because the formats of say a Decentraland USD format and a voxel edit format for Sandbox, etc. So we're also creating some plugins on or you know in, or on these kind of platforms to make this interoperability for creators very seamless. Meta Estate is a simple consulting firm. Like while interviewing people, they said that they need a lot of guidance with respect to where to buy, what to buy, how much to pay for, etc. And this is a small little team that we guys have incubated, which is primarily helping people identify good real estate within the metaverse. MetaList or Metaverse List is our endeavor towards getting a lot of Web2 traffic to build the Social.li community. So over here, we have already analyzed 70 existing metaverses, and we have, to a great extent, created some very detailed reports about each of those. Now, the next step will be about getting in touch with each of these metaverses on a podcast, striking partnerships with them, because creating these bridges, interoperable bridges, also requires some amount of technical stuff to be implemented on the partner metaverses side. But when we are getting a lot of users to them from Web3, from Web2, etc., this is a very big problem that metaverses are facing today. They don't have a lot of traction. They don't have much of commerce happening. So this is one of the ways via which we build our own community of meta natives, and these meta natives in turn, using their quest-based gaming, go on to create a lot of value for other metaverses that are in the social ecosystem. There's Metaverse Blueprints, which is our homegrown incubator, where we will invite startups to build some amazing products and services for in the social ecosystem. And Meta Meets, which is primarily for hosting events with gated access on the social ecosystem. And last but not the least, an academy. And over here, we guys are planning to train a lot of people on Unity, Unreal, Web3 ecosystem overall, to be able to fulfill the needs and demands that are going to come on the development side, on the design side, as people start adopting Web3 metaverses and take them to a whole new level. So this is all about Social.li, and I'm happy to take questions.
Wow, that's awesome, Amit. Thank you so much. I'm stunned. it was so interesting. Looking into the entire ecosystem around metaverse, and how you can gamify this in your instance, which I think is genius, so that people can get involved at whatever early stages or levels that they can in order to play in this field. So really interesting, very interesting. Thank you, Amit. And I have a question for you in terms of how you see the future in the metaverse. What is that going to look like in 5-8 years from now?
So 5 to 8 years from now, I think people will be spending a significant portion of their daily lives in the metaverse. A lot of work will be happening on the metaverse. So people's work life will have a significant portion of that would be there. Microsoft has already built a pretty interesting technology for collaboration between teams, and Facebook's doing that work. Meta is doing that work too. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be plenty of such initiatives being taken by the Web3 community as well, creating a work-centric metaverse. It is primarily because the level of immersiveness that will, so first of all, virtual headsets, VR headsets, etc., will become significantly cheaper. As they become significantly cheaper, and maybe in 8 years' time, few 100 million, if not a billion, or maybe a billion people will have a VR headset of their own, and it just does not make sense for them to not leverage such immersive usage for education, for work, for entertainment. So I think majority of the people will, of course, continue coming to the metaverse for interesting, engaging group experiences along with their friends, primarily for entertainment and networking, social networking of sorts. But very serious use cases will come in the aspect of people doing work, primarily because of great ease of collaboration. And students will be spending a significant amount of time, or rather, a lot of the curriculum in existing, or rather in um, uh, in a lot of curriculums, there will be VR-based education, because it's an order of magnitude better or easier to learn things by visually experiencing them in a VR environment than rote learning, which happens via textbooks, etc. So I'm anyways a metaverse maxi, so here whatever say with a pinch of salt, but I have reasons to believe that all of it's going to come true, because the technologies are becoming cheaper and more accessible.
Wow. I spent over a decade in higher education, especially in the hospitality field. And I was always curious about how we can build a gamified way in order to educate people around the world in various parts of the world, developing world and developed world, whatever. So it's easy access, but they can learn as they go through the different levels. Is that something that the metaverse will allow us to explore?
100%, and I think that's a pretty exciting way of learning as well. In fact, there are multiple startups right now that are primarily creating gamified VR content for education. So a lot of content has existed. Unfortunately, VR has been that industry, or AR VR, for nearly a decade now. It's been saying that, hey, the next 2 years will arrive, and it's not happened yet. But now, given that eventually the cost of VR headsets, and so the primary blocker was the cost of technology. And now that is kind of at that inflection point wherein VR headsets are going to become an order of magnitude more affordable. And so there were also technological challenges which companies like Oculus were trying to address and solve. Which they have done to a great extent. There wasn't enough demand at that point in time because of the price point, and even that barrier has been broken. Now there is an insane amount of demand. A lot of credit goes to Meta rebranding itself. And with that kind of a demand, Horizon Worlds coming on together, economies of scale are totally going to work out for VR headset manufacturers. So NVIDIA has come over. So we are also an NVIDIA incubated company, startup. And even NVIDIA is making a lot of their GPUs available for these kind of worlds. And many of these worlds will be streamed directly to people's end devices. So 5G and even 6G for that matter, and 7, 8G might come in 6 years, who knows. So this is going to make download free, nearly free, and very, very high speed download free. On a lot of these metaverses will directly be streamed directly from cloud, and you won't make a difference whether any of your GPUs being used or cloud GPUs being used. Cloud GPUs are going to become very, very cheap. And then there is an insane amount of content that's available. So all of these things kind of stack with each other towards making things happen. So sorry, that was a very long answer to your rather simple question, but I am very bullish on amazing education content being created. And when you're creating a content in a metaverse, it ought to be gamified, because one thing that makes a metaverse different is the amount of player agency that you can experience. The child or the learner is free to do whatever they want to do, and they learn at their own pace. So all of this becomes available. So yeah, it just makes sense to me. And given that so much content is being created, it'll eventually find its way into one metaverse or the other, which will most likely get adopted by education boards for mainstream adoption within curriculums.
Right. We'll be fighting the accreditation and validation processes that are, permeating the educational space. But I've spoken to a few universities in the UK, for instance, who would be very happy to validate a program as long as that would be on the metaverse or in the metaverse, as long as the learning outcomes are achieved. And so they could, gain through this different layers of education or different layers of the game for instance, a hotel hospitality degree, that you start off as an entry-level positions, as a server or as a host or as a whatever, housekeeper, and then you learn all the basics of housekeeping and the front desk, etc. And then you move up. You're able to take some courses and things that you can move up to the next level of supervisor and the next level of manager and then executive director and even owner or regional director. And all of those players are part as an avatar within the system. Do you know of anyone who is exploring this right now?
There are games. So this is a complete category, and within the Oculus ecosystem of apps, there are, I think, a couple of games that are already doing this. I'm unable to recall what this category is called. It's a very popular category, but I'll be very happy to mention to share it with you post this call.
Thank you.
Digging it out along with a couple of companies that are building this specifically.
Right.
Like it is in existence today. Like you can just wear your headset and do this stuff.
No. I see this the future of education, and especially by bringing all the people involved, the inclusive nature of education,
Sure.
that doesn't require a level of investment that you can afford. But
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Thank you for that, Amit. Really, really exciting, and really exciting to see what's coming up, and excited to see the whole development and everything that's coming in. So, great presentation. Thank you very much for all that knowledge.
Thank you, and thank you, Stefan.
You're welcome, Amit. Really, really appreciate your insights and your valuable insights and the lessons learned. Thank you very much.